The Conquest ending, compile hot takes by HMS Belfast C35. One man's friend HMS Belfast C35 here with a mate's hot take in regards to compile hard content. Since one man cannot be here due to having the cold, he has asked me to take over for him temporarily. In this vid, we are going to address my favourite ending of this Neptunia series and why it exactly stands head to toe above its competitors. We'll also look at the counter arguments and my counter arguments. Then you can decide for yourself whether or not you agree with what I'm about to say here. The best ending? Is it the Ascension ending? Like many believe. No, not at all. It is the Holy Sword ending that many people like. Ugh, god no. It's cringy. That's the worst ending. Yeah, get your booze out of the system, you whiny SJWs. No, the best ending and the most based ending so far is the Conquest ending, by far. Go ahead, boo some more. Meanwhile, I shall consume your salty tears in the background as you cry. The reason is rather simple to explain. The Conquest ending has the best characterization out of the endings that are provided to us by Idea Factory and Compile Heart in the Neptunia series. Sure, there are some fatal flaws to it, like everything. Perfection cannot be achieved, but you can certainly come close to it. The deity of sin's presence is far more told than shown, as if it were a fucking ASMR. As such, there's nothing actually driving them to these lengths. However, it does some strong strengths as well, ones that far outpace its flaws. For a game that was made in 2011, mind you. It gives a bit of depth to its characters, otherwise void of these depths. The CPU's ROM and RAM even gives Uni, who has a little bit of depth, true moments of a character in the making. This is the biggest strength it has here. The Conquest ending finally makes Neptunia mature and come into her own as the main character and protag in her own game. Best main character in this Neptunia series, of course. She is my waifu. Uhori is based. Don't mind me on that. Never mind, passing on. And it all took over her doing the Doom Guy all over her friends and family by killing them. Now, there's one counter argument that I'd like to address first and foremost, that a couple of people have brought up, i.e. it didn't need to happen. These claims are mostly valid, and mostly because the reason why it is valid is built less on the ending itself, but the leading up to it. Sure, the previously mentioned tell of the deity of sin being an overwhelming presence rather than show, and it is rather correct to call it out, of course. Yet again, that's more on the storytelling dynamic of Neptunia Mark II / Rebirth 2 as a whole, rather than the Conquest ending itself. If we are judging by the ending alone, this statement no longer holds water. It did need to happen. After all, if we suspend our disbelief with the deity of sin's presence, then we come to realize that they did need a weapon to defeat her, and in comes the gear burn. The reason why I'd say it needed to happen is twofold. A, they needed gear burn. B, gear burn was their last option. Gear burn was their last option because the CPUs and the candidates of separate lands decided to place ego above the greater good. It didn't help that Noir decided to get herself stabbed by the Gerburn, as if she were indoctrinating herself in the Bushido code. It was Noir all along, guys. We got him. If they simply redirected their shares to Planet Tune to begin with, this wouldn't have happened. Now, I get the counter argument to this. My turn. It could have happened in any other nation. However, this only affirms the downfall of the CPUs, just like Bruno Ganz' movie about Hitler. And candidates previously mentioned ego above the greater good, so that arguments can thereby cease once and for all. In the end, the Conquest ending foreshadows the truth of corporations in gaming, i.e. if a company gets too egocentric, it ceases to be cute and cuddly, and thereby ends in an ugly fashion. Sega is a good example. They were a good company, but their time came with the Dreamcast. Sad to go, sad to cease. That is the story to its own. So is the Xbox. Well, the Xbox is still alive, but you get the hint. The list goes on, from companies that make consoles to companies that make games. For example, Atari. Once they sacked Nolan Bushnell, they ceased to become a proper company for games. So we've established the "it didn't need to happen" argument is hereby invalid in the context of the Conquest ending itself. The only other proper complaint I've heard is a much more subjective one. I don't want my beloved waifus to die. I don't think many people do that, in all honesty, but there is a couple of problems with the incessant babbling. Yes, there always will be. Hey, they're still imaginary, and our waifu desire shouldn't be at the expense of a story. A story that gives Neptunia massive characterization, as well as credibility as a main character for once. Don't give me the "it's a moe blob anime, it doesn't need to follow any plot" bullshit either. It's not our direction here. Compile Heart backed themselves into a corner the moment they realized to make a game about preaching ills of privacy. You can't sit on a political soapbox on one corner, then say, "It's just a moe blob uma." Goddamn Tohka, you got me to be on this one. Yeah, she's French. Moving on. Because the two contradict, it ceases to only be a minus moe blob. B. Most of the waifus we develop an emotional attachment in the game came from the previous gameplays. The 4 CPUs get no development or progression whatsoever. Rom and Ram are mostly CFW trick bait. Yeah, that's pretty much obvious, isn't it? The honest to goodness characters that were developed in any proper fashion were Uni and Neptunia. Boy, did I ever tell you there were plenty of ships with them? Yeah, need not to tell any further. Moving on. Keep in mind, others were too. But they were... pardon me. But they weren't victims to the Conquest ending. The Conquest ending is a great tone shift and saved the series from a massive inconsistency. That is debatable, my friends. The Neptunia series. Yeah. It needed an ending that reflected in the base ideas in which Mark II/Rebirth 2 started with. A dark and grim story. This was the direction Compile Heart wanted to go in those games. Yeah, can't be said for the other games in the series. Am I right? It is inescapable, and I find it idiotic to have so many variations of the same bullshit happy ending. Yeah, damn right, guys, fucking hell. I can understand the base, normal and true endings. I don't have any problems with those. But for fuck's sake, we didn't need one for every fucking landmass with the normal ending. Vert's one is pretty good. Leanbox, guys, Leanbox ending is pretty fucking great. I mean, Vert becomes a stalker and a sister. Yeah. Yeah, Vert has big tits. She's got the same fucking, yeah, never mind, guys. Yeah, just moving on, guys, before I fucking embarrass myself. Do you know how much grind work we could have saved if we didn't need to adjust these shares? You could have put them in a cutscene package and it would have functioned better, but no. It took so many goddamn endings and so much of our fucking time, lads. Ha! Rebirth 2 is even worse, as it not adds another fucking ending to the fucking mix. We have so many variations of the normal ending, the human ending, and one for each of the platforms that are also the quote-unquote normal normal endings, True ending, the Conquest ending, and the Rebirth 2's Holy Sword ending, the last of which was one of the reasons why Rebirth 2 was made. The Holy Sword ending was solemnly made to evade the M rating, and yeah, that's literally the only reason why it was made. So yeah, while every Neptunia game has its weaknesses, the Conquest aided Chief, as I like to call it, the Conquest ending wasn't the one that the Royal Navy would have chose, now would it? Hoarse. It adds a lot more value to it, and is a hell of a lot more believable than the Conquest. No, the Holy Sword ending, guys. You think I was gonna bash that? Nah, the Holy Sword ending is a shit one. It bothers me when people say that the Holy Sword ending is better than the Conquest ending, because no one has bothered to put a suitable reasoning as to why. I've debunked the issues with the Conquest ending, and as a result, only further invalidated any true or false or suspension of disbelief statements that need for the Holy Sword ending. Battle with Noir Uni. Then, in the most pathetically contrived manner imaginable, it changes with Nepgear saying, "No, I won't do this," and throws the sword away. The only need for the Holy Sword ending is built on meta, and that's pretty much it. I'll get to that ending eventually, but for now I'll leave it here before I go off on any more unrelated tangents. Miss so many fucking tangents, lads. So, here's where we end. So like the video if you enjoyed this holy maid of the Royal Navy talking about the best and most red-pilled franchise, Neptunia franchise it is. Share it around with the fan base if you like it, or even if you don't like it. Because any press is good press. To paraphrase P.T. Barnum, subscribe if you are new, click the bell to be notified of any more of One Man's content, and answer his QOTD please. And by the way, subscribe to HMS Belfast C35 as well. I have some streams, but I'll be making my own vids pretty soon as well. Please do. Totally not shelling out on my friend's channel. God damn it. Well, PS guys. Just a bit extra on the ends. What is your favourite Neptunia ending and why? Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, if life gets you down, pick yourself up and try again, lads. And to quote Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going. And that's bye-bye from me, HMS Belfast C35.